How many of you have ever seen the original Karate Kid? Original Karate Kid with Ralph Macchio and what's Johnny Lawrence's real name? Anyway, yeah. You seen it? Oh yes. How many of you anybody seen the new one with Will Smith's kid and Jackie Chan? Seen that one?
What about the continuation?
Yeah, there's the Legends, Karate Kid Legends, where Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio team up together to train a new Karate Kid. There's also Karate Kid. There's also Karate Kid 4, which has Hilary Swank in it, and somehow she jumps like up and on top of a car or something's weird. I don't know. But in the original Karate Kid, okay, which is the best one that there is, in the original Karate Kid, there is this moment where he's gone to Mr. Miyagi for training, and Mr. Miyagi is having him do things that he thinks is a waste of time and he thinks are pointless. Okay? Do you remember what they are?
Wax on, wax off.
Wax on, wax off. He was supposed to wax the car and then wax off the wax that's on the car. What else does he have him do? So this is wax on, wax off. What else did he have him do? Show me, paint the fence. Show me the money. That's a different movie. Show me, that's really funny. Show me, paint the fence. And he goes like this, right? He paints the fence. What else does he have him do? That's wax on, wax off. Huh? Show me, sand the floor. He has to sand the floor. One more. Show me, paint the house. He goes like this, side to side. He eventually gets so frustrated because he feels like you are using me to get your housework done. Like you're bringing me here every single day to paint your house, to stain your fence, to sand your deck, to clean your cars. I thought you were teaching me karate. And he explodes and he says, I'm being your servant, not your student. But then the master, Mr. Miyagi, shows him that actually what he's been doing the whole time is learning karate. Because all of those moves are actually blocking moves that he was teaching him through the work that he was doing. He was training his muscles for defense. It seemed pointless at the time, but the master knew it had a purpose. Okay? Sometimes that is what obedience to God can seem like, to feel like. He calls us to trust Him. He calls us to follow Him. And sometimes in the moment, it doesn't make any sense. What you're asking me to do, God, doesn't make any sense. What you're calling me to do doesn't make any sense. It's not sensible. It's not reasonable. I don't understand it. Jeremiah chapter 32, God calls Jeremiah to do something that doesn't make any sense to Jeremiah. Let's go over our history one more time. Solomon starts off leading the nation great, and eventually, though, he leads the people into idolatry, right? Their hearts get split between Yahweh and idols, and because of that, what does God say? What's going to be the consequence after Solomon dies with Israel? Just like you split the heart of my people, I'm going to split the kingdom of Israel into two kingdoms. A northern kingdom made up of how many tribes? 10. Southern, or actually 9, I guess. No, you're right, 10. And then the southern kingdom made up of how many? 2. What were the southern kingdoms named? The two tribes, what were they? Judah and Benjamin. The northern kingdom was called Israel. What happens to the northern kingdom of Israel? They get destroyed, they get taken into, they get dispersed, they get ruled over by what kingdom? Assyria. Not Syria, Assyria. Leaving Judah and Benjamin, known as the southern kingdom or Judah, left by themselves. They continue to disobey God, and so God says, okay, well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to send Babylon to come and to take over Jerusalem, to lay siege of the southern kingdom, and you're going to be taken into Babylonian captivity for 70 years. Here in Jeremiah 32, Jerusalem is under siege, and it is about to fall. There's no question. It's like it's going down. It's not like maybe we can rally and fight back and we can win this thing. It is going down. Babylon is fixing to take over Jerusalem. And God tells Jeremiah to do something that seems ridiculous. I want you to go buy a field from your cousin here in Judah. Now, why would that seem ridiculous to Jeremiah? Why buy this if we're fixing to get conquered? Terrible investment. I mean, in just a few short days, this land won't even be owned by my cousin anymore. The Babylonians are going to have it. So why would I go buy land that won't be my land, and it won't even be my cousin's land to sell me? But yet that's what God tells him to do. And Jeremiah, not understanding at all, thinking this doesn't make any sense, I'm confused, he still obeys. He trusts God no matter what God commanded. And he knew God must have a reason for this, even if I am confused by it. And then in verses 16 through 25 of chapter 32, Jeremiah turns to God in prayer. And he wrestles with what he's just done. That's what we're going to look at tonight. Jeremiah chapter 32, verses 16 through 25. Let's just read the first three verses. Let's read the first four, 16, 17, 18, and 19. After I had given the deed of purchase to Baruch, the son of Neri, I prayed to Yahweh, saying, here's the prayer, verse 17. Ah, Lord God, it is you who have made the heavens and the earth by your great power. And by your outstretched arm, nothing is too hard for you. You show steadfast love to thousands, but you repay the guilty of fathers to their children after them. O great and mighty God, whose name is the Lord of hosts, great in counsel and mighty in deed, whose eyes are open to all the ways of the children of man, rewarding each one according to his ways and according to the fruit of their deeds. When Jeremiah begins to pray, how does he start? How does he start? Does he take his confusion right away? Starts by praising God. Are we seeing some trends in the way people pray all throughout the Old Testament? Like when they're confused and they don't know what's going on, or even when they're angry and mad and going to complain to God, they seemingly still all start the same way. God, you're great. God, I love you. God, you're powerful. God, you're wonderful. And here, Jeremiah doesn't start with his confusion. He starts with God. He calls God creator. You made the heavens and the earth by your great power and by your outstretched arm. Nothing is too hard for you. He remembers God's covenant of love. You show steadfast love to thousands. He remembers God's justice, repaying the guilty of fathers to their children after them. And he calls God great in counsel and mighty in deed. Let me ask you another question. Why do you think Jeremiah begins describing God's greatness instead of jumping right to his confusion? Now, before you answer that, last week, we kind of started the same way with Jeremiah, right? Huh? First point is who before why. Last week, though, when Jeremiah is going to complain Here it's confusion. Last week it was complaint. And last week he started by praising God and being reverent of God because he wants God to know, even though I'm going to complain, I'm not complaining in rebellion. I'm complaining in relationship. You remember that from last week? Okay. Why is he starting this time the way he starts by praising God in the midst of confusion? Yes, Isaiah. Isaiah, that's not your name. Yes, yes. Can't hear you, bro. Okay. He recognizes God's higher than him. Yes.
Even if he's confused, God isn't confused.
Okay. That's true. Andy?
He starts with stating what he's not confused about. Like he knows these things.
Ooh, that's good. Never even thought of that. Yeah. He's confused. He's stating the things he's not confused about. Here's what I know. I'm saying, here's what I know. I know God is this, and I know you are this, and I know you are this, and I know you are this. Shelby?
Sorry.
Now you forgot?
No, I got all flustered at you, and now I'm like simmering down. I'm sorry. He's setting the tone for himself, I think, as well. Yeah, you know.
Yep.
If
That's what I wrote down.
Oh, see.
And everything you say goes into this.
Yeah.
Everything that y'all just said goes into this. When he's saying this to God, is he telling God something he doesn't know? Does God go, I forgot I was the creator. Thanks for reminding me, Jeremiah. Totally forgot I made the earth and everything in it. What is he doing by saying all this? Yes, he's praising God, but he's reminding himself who God is. So often in prayers, as you look through the Old Testament, and we're going to go to Psalms probably in 2027, but unless the Lord changes my mind, long time, so who knows. But
that was my idea, by the way.
We see what we see is people in their prayers reminding themselves of the truth as they're praising God. So praising God, yes, exalts the Lord. Yes, it tells everybody around us who we believe God is, but it also tells us.
And it directs what we say and how we say it to God, too.
Yeah.
If we start off that way, as opposed to just coming in hot with
God.
God.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right.
Which, we do that and he's there for it, you
right.
know. But when we can start this way, everything that comes after is going to come.
It sets the tone. Posture. It sets the whole tone of, you're not going to say all this in verses 16 through 19 and then turn to God and say, what's wrong with you? You know what I mean? Like you've already set this tone of, I'm reminding myself of the God that I serve. I'm reminding myself that he made heaven and earth. Nothing is too hard for him. He shows steadfast love. He is just. He is great in counsel, and he is great in mighty in his deeds. So as I come with my confusion, remember, Jeremiah, this is who you're bringing your confusion to. One who's not confused. Right? And I love what Andy said too. He's reminding himself of what he does know and does believe. Right? He's anchoring his prayer in God's plan and wisdom and power and love. How many of you have ever ridden on a plane before? Well, you ride on it. You don't fly it. You can fly in it. Yeah, you can fly in it. You're not. You flew to. Yeah. Well, you rode in the plane. Yeah, it's both. It's both. How many of you? Let's just call them. You can't trust me. So you've been in a plane before, right? How many of you have ever been in a plane with some turbulence that made you feel a little iffy? Right, where you're in it and you're like, I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about this right now. You know? What do you do in those moments?
Pray to the Lord.
Praying is always good to the Lord.
Look at this. What can I get for you?
The stewards,
Something else.
and flight attendants. You look at the what can I get for you people, and
we can't say stewardess anymore.
that doesn't make any sense.
There are male.
They're stewards.
Okay, but we say flight attendant.
Yeah. I actually, when if it's a guy, I look at him and I say, "Thank you, my steward."
See, I would much rather
and I give a little bow. I give a little bow to
what
it.
can I get you person than
What?
stewardess.
So think with me here. You experience the turbulence. There's people there though that have been through, like they know. You don't know. You're thinking, wait, the plane just did this. I'm going to die. Like you're trying to pull your oxygen mask out of the thing rather than waiting for it to come out. You're reaching under, grabbing your life preserver and throwing it on, and you're over New Mexico. You won't need a life preserver if you're over New Mexico.
It did not land.
Because you wouldn't land in the ocean if you crashed. Oh my gosh.
Tell us about the stewardesses.
You look at them, and if they're not panicking and they're calm and not freaking out, if they're not running around or doing anything, then you know pilot's got it. This is normal. The pilot's got it. There's no reason for me to be freaking out because the people who know aren't freaking out. Now, if you're ever on a plane and you see the stewardess all running around and looking at each other like, then even if you're over New Mexico, grab your life preserver. Let me give you a quote. I love this quote. This is a little long quote, but you have it in front of you. Okay, so I put these quotes in front of you. All right, look at the quote and read it with me. Believers do not pray with the view of informing God about things unknown to him. God, I bought this field. Well, God knows that. I'm the one that told you to do it. Right? Or of exciting him to do his duty. God, if I don't pray this, then you're not going to do what you do. Or of urging him as though he was reluctant. God, I don't really think you care about me, and I don't think you really want to do this, so I'm begging you, hoping that you'll change your mind about me. On the contrary, they pray in order that they may arouse themselves to seek him, that they may exercise their faith in meditating on his promises, that they may relieve themselves from the anxieties by pouring them into his bosom. That is John Calvin in his Christian Institutes. The who before the why. Now let's look at verse 20 through 22. Now we're going to look at facts before feelings. Point number two, facts before feelings. Some people weren't paying attention. Verse 20. You have shown signs and wonders in the land of Egypt. Now, where in this prayer, where is he taking his own mind back to? All the way back to the book of Exodus. Okay? Talking hundreds of years, he's going back. Way back. You have shown signs and wonders in the land of Egypt, and to this day in Israel, and among all mankind, you have made a name for yourself as to this day. You brought your people Israel out of the land of Egypt with signs and wonders, with a strong hand, an outstretched arm, and with great terror. And you gave them this land which you swore to their fathers to give them, a land flowing with milk and honey. Jeremiah is going to continue this reminding thing in this prayer. After praising God for who he is, he now moves to what God has done. He is going to rehearse this story of Israel in his mind. God performed signs and wonders in Egypt and delivered us out. He didn't just deliver us out, he delivered us in with his mighty hand and outstretched arm, and he gave us this land. Here's a question. Why does Jeremiah do this? Everything we said in the first point is true. So keep thinking. Why does he remind himself of what God has done for Israel? Yeah.
Because it'll show what God will do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He knows that his feelings can lie to him. Okay? Teenagers, look at me and listen. Your feelings will lie to you the rest of your life. Okay? Until Jesus comes back. Now, they're not always lying to you, but they can. And in this moment, if he feels like, God, you told me that we're going to go into Babylonian captivity for 70 years and that we're coming back, but I feel like this is the end. I feel like this is the end. See that army right there? They're destroying your temple. I feel like this is the end. So what he does is he reminds himself, this is what you've done for us in the past, and this is what you've promised us. And even if my feelings are not what they should be right now, I'm going to remind myself of the facts. And the facts are, you have given us this land. Would this prayer have been very different if he just prayed his feelings? Very different kind of prayer. Been a very different prayer. I'm not saying we don't cast our cares and our feelings on the Lord. Of course we do. But we've got to make sure we're reminding ourselves of the truth while we're praying. If all he did was pray his feelings, he would have talked only about despair and confusion. That's all his prayer would have been about. Despair and confusion. But instead, like we said a while ago, he is anchoring his faith in the facts. God has always been faithful. He has always been faithful to us, and he will not stop being faithful now. I have a video. It's a DVD. Y'all know what a DVD is? You kids know what a DVD is? Okay. Junior high, do y'all have a clue what DVDs are? Okay, just making sure. It's the thing that came out before Blu-rays. You know what a Blu-ray is? Okay, you know what a VHS is? Going way back. You know what a reel-to-reel is? I have a DVD of the 2011 NBA championship that the Dallas Mavericks won. I've watched it. I mean, I don't know how many times I've watched this thing. Just, I got to relive it because we ain't won it since. So, we got close, and then we decided to trade our best player. I don't understand. Now, here's the thing. They actually summarize every single playoff game and that run all the way to win the championship. And it was a turbulent run. I mean, the first series, we get down 2-1, or no, they tied it up 2-2, and we get blown out. We blow a lead at the end of the next game. It's just ugly and terrible. And, you know, I remember the emotions that I had when I was in it, thinking, we're the one and done boys. We're going to get knocked out of the first round again. And we pulled through. We made it to the second round against Kobe's Lakers. And I thought, well, this is the end. We ain't beating Kobe. Swept them in 4, folks. Swept them in 4. You ever heard of the Mother's Day Massacre? Yeah. Well, it's the Mother's Day Massacre where we beat them by 30 points. We hit I don't know how many threes we hit. Jason Terry hit 10. The Mother's Day Massacre. We sweep Kobe. Never won another championship again. Then we play the young upstart Oklahoma City Thunder. James Harden, Russell Westbrook, and Kevin Durant, and everybody was like, oh, these boys, too much talent. We beat them in 6. Very first game, Dirk drops 42. Then we play the Miami Heat. The Heatles, if you will. The Heatles. Game 2, we lose game 1. Game 2, we're down by 12 points with just a few minutes left. LeBron hits a 3 right in the face of the Mavericks, and him and Dwayne Wade start taunting, talking trash, running their mouths. And I remember sitting watching it going, it's over. It's all over. And then the Mavericks caught fire, came back and won game 2, won game 3, lost game 4, won game 5, finished them off in 6. Now, when I go back and watch that, they're still going through all the turbulent times. Do I freak out anymore? Why? Because I know what's going down. I know that Brandon Roy, bringing him back with his jacked up knee, they're not going to beat us. I know that the great Kobe Bryant is not going to beat us. I know that the upstart Oklahoma City Thunder, I know that the Heatles we win the championship. And I can replay the reality of that situation over and over and over again without freaking out. But that's kind of what Jeremiah is doing. He's going back to the replay and he's like, I'm talking to myself about what God's already done. We win in Egypt. We defeat all the nations in the book of Joshua. God gave us this land. I don't need to fret now because I know God will be faithful. Here's a quote by Charles Spurgeon. God's past faithfulness is a guarantee of his future faithfulness. He that has been with us in 6 troubles will not forsake us in the 7th. Charles Haddon Spurgeon. Point number 3, honesty before answers. Now he's going to get to his confusion. Verse 23. And they entered and took possession of the land, but they did not obey your voice or walk in your law. They did nothing of all that you commanded them to do. Therefore you have made all this disaster come upon them. Behold, the siege mounds have come up to the city to take it. And because of sword and famine and pestilence, the city is being given into the hands of the Chaldeans who are fighting against it. What you spoke has come to pass, and behold, you see it. Yet you, O Lord, have said to me, buy the field for money and get a witness. In other words, Lord, Israel did not obey your voice. Israel did not walk in your law, and you gave Israel over to the Babylonians. And they are here. The siege is right upon us. There is pestilence, there is famine, there is war and death all around us. And yet in the midst of this, you tell me, why don't you go buy that field over there? I love that he's getting real and he's getting honest. He's like, Lord, I don't get this. I do not understand why you have told me to buy a field in a land that will never be mine. He obeys God, but he's wrestling. Faith, our walk with God, our obedience sometimes will be illogical and not sensible to the way the world thinks. Okay? God, at some point in your life, teenagers, look at me, at some point in your life, God is going to call you to do something that will not make sense to the world. They won't get it. Your friends may not get it. Your family may not get it. But you're to be obedient. Why is it important that Jeremiah obey first and then wrestle in prayer second? Why is it important to obey first, then ask about the confusion? Why do you think? Why obey first, then wrestle with the confusion? Shall we?
I don't think we would ever do anything if we had to understand it all first.
Yeah. Yeah, if you wait till you get it all, till you understand it all, we may never do anything, or we may just do everything way too late. Right? If he had waited, what if tomorrow it's actually all done and he never got a chance to buy the field? Right? When you're little, guys, your parents may tell you to do something and you ask the question that all kids ask right away, which is what? Why? I need you to come here now. Why? I'm not opposed to your why question, but obey me first and then we can talk about it. Why? Because you don't see the rattlesnake behind you. Come here. Why? Because if you don't, your Achilles is going to get bit by a rattlesnake. Because that's what they do. So obeying first is what God wants from us. Obey me. Then you can wrestle with the why all day long with God. God's okay with that. Bring your confusion to Him. He's okay with that. But what you can't do is say, I'm not going to obey until I get the why answered. I'm not going to obey until I understand it all. Because you're either never going to do it or you're going to do it too late. Don't wait till you get bit in the calf by a rattlesnake before you go, I'm coming, Mom.
And now you're going to die.
Right? You drag that old swole up leg behind you. I love this quote. Very simple. Look at it under point number 3. Confusion is not a sin. A.W. Tozer. Confusion is not a sin. You can obey God and be confused. Okay? Don't think you got to have all the answers to everything before you obey. So here's the big question. God, why did you tell Jeremiah to buy a field in a city that was about to be destroyed? What do you think the answer? What do you think God's going to give him the answer? Because he does give him the answer in the rest of the chapter. Why does he do it? No one?
As a sign that his river Judah will come back at some point.
Yeah. It's a down payment on hope. He's saying, by buying this field, me, my people, my children's children, whatever, they're going to come back and actually have this piece of land one day. This piece of land one day, it's not always going to be Babylon's. It's not always going to be the Persians. One day, we're coming back here, and this field will be, I will own this field, or my children will own this field. It was a down payment on hope. God was showing his people that this siege is not going to have the last word. This captivity that you're going to is not going to have the last word. Yes, judgment was coming, and the land was going to be lost for a time, but the purchase of that field was a sign that one day houses and vineyards will be planted again. Families are going to return. God's promises will stand. And that is how God works. He calls us to step out in obedience, even if it doesn't make sense now, even if we're confused. So, what do you do? We're talking about prayer. What do you do when God calls you to do something that's confusing? Yes.
Obey first.
Obey, and then take your confusion to God. Take your confusion to God.